So I'm here at Culver Station, and my plan is to wait for a train to show up on the tracks above, and then I'm gonna see if I can keep up with it on the bike path, riding my boosted board. Exposition Corridor Bike Path, Culver Station to Ocean Boulevard in 30 minutes by a boosted board, V2 Dual Plus. I started out at the Culver City Expo Station, and I end up overlooking the Pier in Santa Monica. My goal was to beat the train, but it was Sunday morning, and there's really not a lot of people at the actual train stops getting off or on the train, so I couldn't actually keep up. In a moment here, you'll see the train leaving the station. I waited for them to pull in, and then they actually stopped for such a short time, I barely had time to put my helmet on and get going again. I gotta get across Venice Boulevard here, and when I get across, you'll have a moment to see the train up there on the elevated tracks. Unfortunately, my camera was bent down a tiny bit too much, so you don't see a lot of the horizon line, but there's the train going by, and it moves at a really good clip. I keep up for a moment. This first little stretch is between a wall and a wall. Nice little skinny area in case you ever want to get trapped. This would be a great place to trap someone. There's a few hazards on Sunday morning, like shopping carts full of stuff. You can see it's pretty early, so I'm casting a fairly long shadow. Right now I'm going top speed. This is my first time ever taking this path all the way to the beach. So this section I've been on, and some of the others I'm a little more tentative in places, but for the most part it's a really smooth, brand new path with very few intersections. So right there I'm just crossing over Bagley. I have the Caguama wheels made by Orangutan, and the Caguamas give you a little elevated speed boost. I'm going like 24 miles an hour here on the flats. You can see the train up ahead. It's at the station already. I'm coming up on Palm Station. This next section of the path is actually out on the street. I think it's a little short-sighted that they decided not to put the bike path along the train tracks the entire route, but this is the only place where it leaves the train tracks for a while. In just a second here, I hit something a little slippery. But I managed to hang on. A little puddle. Try not to get my boosted electronics wet. So I'm passing by like price storage on the right hand side. And in a moment I'll be passing by the French high school. There it is. So you can see I'm coming up to Motor Avenue, where the bike path takes a little turn to the right and passes underneath the train tracks as well as the 10 freeway. Bike path is in the clear, so you really don't have to worry about interacting with cars too much. Here we are. I just passed under the train track, and now I'm passing under the 10 freeway. There is one unsafe portion up here, which is you need to cross over and catch this one little street on the left. There's no light or stop signs, so you can see I actually right there, I didn't know which street it was, and now I'm moving up a little bit, but because it was Sunday morning, there wasn't any cars around at all. So for a moment here, you get a little hilly section, and there's a couple of those little drain ditches. I just crossed over one. Those are totally treacherous for skateboard wheels. You really need to hit them at an angle, because if you hit them straight on, you stand a good chance of just pitching off. So this is a very steep hill. I don't know if you can tell by the way that the road bows up on the horizon. This is a beautiful neighborhood that we're cutting through here. Lots of big trees, finely manicured yards. So you stay to the left there at the intersections. They don't have it marked all that clearly, but it's still the bike path, but every once in a while you see the bike markers. They should have had one back there at the intersection. So now we're kind of meeting up with the train tracks again. So the train tracks are down in a ditch off to the left, and we're still up on the hill. So in a second here, I'm going to start dropping down a pretty good hill. Now there's a crossing spot there that Google Maps, for some reason, shows that as a place to go with your bike. I'm not sure why though, because the way I'm going here is the most direct and safe route to the Exposition Corridor Bike Path. Actually, you see that I'm still on the bike path. You see the bike markers. So this is a pretty good hill here. I didn't find anything particularly hazardous, so you can really let loose if you want. You probably won't go over 30 if you're hit the top of the hill at full speed and let off the throttle and let it roll. Nice and pleasant. I was really kind of bummed out that the train wasn't here, because I was really expecting to see them just at least, you know, on the edge of my vision. So at this intersection here, this is probably one of the more hazardous intersections if you're gonna, especially if it's not a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Because Overland is a really fast street. And the cars go by at 50, 60 miles an hour all the time. So it's best to just wait for the crosswalk. Also, if you don't have any experience crossing the railroad tracks, it's possible to cross them at like a 45-degree angle, but it's still pretty bumpy, and you know, I worry about what it does to the trucks. So yay, here we are again, back on the brand new smooth pathway with no cars, and you see I'm going 24 miles an hour again, hoping beyond hope that there's a chance I'm going to catch up with that train. guess this path's been here since the train tracks opened, but this is my first time riding it on a skateboard. Last weekend, I rode it on a bicycle for my first time. I highly recommend an early morning hour for this trip if you really want to avoid obstacles and cars at the intersections. You see, I don't even have to slow down anywhere, except at intersections. It's pretty easy to see if there's any cars coming. I tend to slow down around people that are just standing on the path, like facing away from me, because sometimes they have headphones on, especially now these days with like Bluetooth headphones. You can't even see a wire hanging down. And they often just turn around and randomly switch directions when they have headphones on and they don't hear you coming. Speaking of hear you coming, that guy totally saw me coming and decided to just run in front of me. I'm still hoping to see the train, but now it seems to have gotten away from me. I have a really good feeling that if I had done this at rush hour, I'm not sure how many more people would be on the path to slow me down. Here's a spot where I got lost for a second. I should have just gone straight across there, but I didn't see the pathway. But now that I move over a little bit, I see that the pathway resumes over there where it says some A1 self-storage. So I should have just gone straight across that crosswalk, and then I could have made this little jog to the right. And here we are, back on the path. This is a little strip. We just crossed Sawtelle Boulevard. And we're coming up to the place where you cross Pico, which is also not very clearly marked. It was a little easier for me because, once again, there wasn't any cars out. But you'll see over to the left where the best and safest place would be to cross at a crosswalk where there's a light. I didn't go all the way over there because there was no cars anywhere. So I just went across. And there's the bike path again. So when I got to Santa Monica border, I started getting a little nervous because Santa Monica, I don't know if they just passed laws or they put in legislation for laws, but I hear that they're pretty much into ticketing people on electronic skateboards. So, and as far as I understand now, you're not allowed to ride on the bike path with an electronic skateboard. I know you're not allowed to ride on the bike path with an electronic scooter, and I really don't know what the difference is. And I assume that you probably can't ride on the bike path with an electronic bicycle anymore either, but I'm not sure about that. In any case, it was Sunday morning, so It didn't seem like there was much risk. But I was keeping my eyes open. And pretty much the entire route, you see, I've just gone 24 miles an hour and hoping that I can catch up to that train. So smooth. Those are the kind of slow-moving pedestrians that are most likely to just suddenly turn around on you. So it's always good to slow down and give them a wide berth. I did run into a runner one time, and that guy was actually running and just decided to make a U-turn without even looking over his shoulder. Managed to hold him up. So I just crossed the street, and now there's a new thing that they've got in Santa Monica, which they don't have on the rest of the Exposition Bike Path, which is they have these they're sort of like gates where all of the intersections are. I guess it's just to make sure that people slow down, but you'll see they definitely make you slow down, especially with a longboard. Doesn't have a very sharp turning radius. Oh, this is kind of funny. This looks like the bike path, but then it says do not enter and stop. So I decided to back up and look the other direction. So I just came straight across the intersection, but it turns out that bike path switches to the other side of the train tracks here. There was somebody in that booth. They were waving at me. Here we are. Another narrow corridor with walls on both sides. I have no idea what's in my left hand. It looks like I'm carrying something. These are the gates that I was talking about. From here on out, wherever there's bike path, there's a set of gates that are offset, kind of like fencing. You got to go around them, which is enough to make anybody slow down. They got these weird things they say must remain closed at all times. So I still haven't caught up with the train. But having taken the train a bunch of times, I know I'm not going that much slower. Now up ahead, I'm thinking, oh great, there's a police car. There's policemen up there on the platform. I'm hoping that they're not going to be ornery and want to give me a ticket for riding on the bike path. But turns out they're not in the car. They're just up there on the platform. So even if they wanted to, they probably couldn't have caught me. I suppose they could have called ahead and had somebody else ticket me. So here we are, back on the path. So now we're kind of going along Olympic Boulevard, and I think that's the water tower on the right-hand side, if you're familiar with that area. I hate those things. I just don't even understand what they're there for. So they're apparently there to let people who can't see know that there's a transition coming up, so they don't just walk down a ramp right out into the street. I like to call them egg busters because they have them at all the grocery stores, like right outside. Well, I thought I was going to go across there because there weren't any cars, but then that guy was hauling ass, and so I had to hop off real quick. I was already going really slow. So now it makes this little jog in the middle of Olympic between the two directions of Olympic, and you have to cross again. I gotta say, I love riding this boosted board. I ride it every day to work, unless I ride my bicycle. And so I put in a lot of miles between my V1 boosted board and my V2 boosted board. I'm up at about 3,000 miles now. I hardly ever drive my car to work. So you see these gates, they're kind of annoying. I guess they're there to save lives or keep people's cars off there. I'm not really sure. But I find it interesting that Santa Monica put them in, and they weren't anywhere else in the rest of Los Angeles. So I was just looking down to see how much battery I have left, and I was surprised that I don't have a ton of battery left. I was thinking I was going to have more, but I've been riding really hard. I think a good portion of this was actually a little bit uphill, and now starting about here, it tends to be a little tiny bit downhill, but for more or less, it's just flat. This is another confusing spot. So they decided not to make the bike path continue on here. Instead, they stuck it out in the road. And I was just kind of looking around for it because I couldn't find it. And so I'm kind of going, it's a split road here and the train tracks are in the middle. And I'm on the wrong side of the road. But this is actually the bike path. See where that bus is? That's where I'm supposed to be. That's also the bike path. So the bike path is this road, but it's a road with cars and buses and trucks. And so here I'm gonna get over on the correct side in a second. Once again, remember to either ride at 45 degrees or, just push your skateboard across because your wheels will get stuck in the holes in the train track. These guys decided to just wait for me. I don't know why. They had a green light. I think sometimes people see an electric skateboard and they're just like, would you look at that? It's like Back to the Future. So now I'm on a road that has a bike path lane, and it's a really skinny road, so if a car is coming, you know, they can't really get around you easily. There's also parking. It's not as nice, but this is the tail end of the Exposition Corridor Bike Path. When I rode down this the other direction last week on a bicycle, there were some drivers that get right on your tail, get a little aggravated. So I have other batteries for my boosted board, and I decided I could easily make it from my house over to the Culver train station, and then from the Culver train station try to race the train all the way to the beach. And I was right, but I didn't have a lot of juice left over, so I was looking at, now I'm starting to be a little bit of a miser and let it roll a lot because there's slight downhill. We're getting closer to the end here. And there it is. Oh, I got a potty mouth. So that's the train that was in Culver Station that I followed. There's people were already off of it. They probably had been off for a few minutes, but it was still sitting there, so it wasn't very far ahead of me. I also decided here, since I had a little battery left, that I would go all the way to look at the ocean, and so close, might as well go have a look at the Pacific and see the Ferris wheel on Pier. I just passed some police officers back there. They didn't seem to be interested in me. But here I am in the bike path, and I think in Santa Monica, the requirement is for me to be over there in the lane with the cars. The bike path has its own little street light though, which is cool. Super friendly for bicyclists. And here we are at Ocean. You see there's the entrance to the pier. I'm not gonna ride down to the pier right now. I just wanted to come to the ocean. But there you go, on an extended bore, extended battery. Able to make it no problem. There's the Santa Monica Pier. Below me is the California Incline. And, you know, we're on the cliffs on the edge of Santa Monica. Whoa, got hit with a branch. That's an unpleasant sound. I have permanent vertigo, and back when I was learning how to ride on the boosted board and keep my balance, I had a couple of pretty good wipeouts that were caused by little branches like that hitting me in the head, and just trying to move my head quickly or duck the branches was enough to just completely make me lose balance and just bail, which ended up with a few bung marks and scrapes. But I figured out how to keep from losing my balance when those things hit me in the head, and the way to do that is to not move my head quickly to try to avoid them. Hopefully none of you will ever experience permanent vertigo. It's not a great thing for skateboarders. Oh, if you're wondering why I have permanent vertigo, it's because of a Meniere's disease in my left ear. It's a degenerative disease, and kind of robbed me of my left balance. So now I'm going back across ocean on the bike path, and I'm headed to the train station because I got maybe just enough juice in my battery to hop on the train, go back home, and ride from the train station to my house. But there you go. Took exactly 30 minutes. I don't know if you noticed that. From the Culver Station all the way to the view of the beach there was exactly 30 minutes. And I imagine it could be done a little bit faster once you really know the route and, don't ride tentatively anywhere. But who would have thought that you could get from Culver to the beach so fast on a boosted board? Don't worry about that sound, I'm just making some iced tea. So here I am at Santa Monica Station. I don't have enough battery and I didn't bring a backpack or a charger or any extra batteries with me, so I'm going to go ahead and hop on the train, ride back home because my experiment has concluded. Yes, I can almost keep up with the train on my boosted board on the Exposition Corridor Bike Path. There's not a lot of people on the train at 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday. Get your pick of seats. few sights from the train ride home. That's what you look like when you wear a helmet all the time. Let's call that helmet hair. Also, I woke up this way. Yeah. I got off at a different station that's a little bit closer to my house than Culver Station. So I'm at Palm Station here. Gonna see if I can make it the rest of the way home without my battery running out. Isn't that funny? Some guy with a one wheel went by and then I accidentally pressed the button on my reverse and my skateboard took off. I wear wrist braces on my hands because I've broken both my forearms and both my elbows skateboarding, and also tore some ligaments in my wrists, and I don't wish that on anyone. So if you ride a boosted board or any kind of e-board, I really highly recommend that you wear wrist braces to protect from getting torn ligaments. Broken bones are one thing, but torn ligaments are an entirely different animal. By the way, this is the bonus part of this stupidly long video. So if you've made it this far, you probably can stop watching. I myself have started making myself iced tea. But who knows what the extra narration will be necessary. Here I am going the wrong way on this because there's a couple big chunks on that sidewalk that I'm not too fond of, and I don't like to have to cross over to the other side. And then when I did have a chance to get in, there was a lot of water, and I don't really like to get water all over my boosted board just in case it does something to the electronics. Even on Sunday morning, people don't really dig it when you ride your electric skateboard against traffic. So just right about here, I started feeling a little lag, that alert that the battery was getting low. Still a ways from my house, so I'm not exactly sure that I'm gonna make it. This street here has really fresh blacktop. I'll be sad the day that they come along and put that awful slurry coat on it. These days, whenever they make new fresh blacktop in my area, they come along about 1 year later and they put this horrible slurry coat on it, and people get aggravated and drive around and make these big ruts. Very tough to skateboard on. That's how I broke my arm, by the way, on the boosted. Some slurry coat ruts. But this street is just totally pristine. That street used to be pristine, and then they slurried it just recently. Now it's not so great. Here we are. You can see the flashing light. So I decided to get out the boosted app really quickly and just see exactly how many feet I had left in their estimate. Oops, that Strava app looks a lot like the boosted app. My phone battery was also dying. Phone and boosted board. And there you see it. How many feet estimated left? 0. Just crazy. So I rode all the way over to Culver Station and then to the beach, and then I did that little ride home from Palm Station, and I literally used the battery right to the very last drop of juice. Thanks for watching.
Barking. No! Go in the house, you silly.
Oh, the Great British Bake Off, the best show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But don't watch the new seasons, watch the first season and start at the beginning. I raced the train all the way to the Santa Monica